Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. I hope you guys are all doing well, and today, guys, we're back with the Vampire Coast vs. Warriors of Chaos Showdown. So this was a bit of a practice game here to try out the Depth Guard Polearms. So I've been hearing quite a bit of hype about Depth Guard Polearms against Warriors of Chaos, so I wanted to try and bring two of these guys. Granted, I think the standard quote-unquote Depth Guard Polearm build is actually 3, but, you know, I wanted to start things a little bit slower, see how it went. So in this case, we do have double Depth Guard Polearm with a couple of zombies, a whole front line of rotting Promethean gunnery mobs, so trying a completely off-the-rails build. Normally against Chaos, I do go with a bit of a wide gun line using deck gunners and things like that, but this seemed like it might be fun and also something that you could bring into a tournament, maybe catch someone off guard. Because, for example, if Chaos tries a big rush build, let's say with a ton of Marauders and Hounds, and wants to shut down a Vampire Coast gun line, you show up with a bunch of crabs and, you know, polearms and elite stuff, they're going to get wrecked pretty good. But, yeah, we'll see how this goes. We got deck droppers up in the sky, triple gunnery mob Promethean, a Vampire Fleet Admiral with a pistol and a crab, and Aerocrastic coming in with his beloved Halberd build. So what I really like about his build is it's pretty well-rounded. It's, like, wide enough that it can threaten a gun line, but it's also got the anti-large capabilities with the halberds to deal with like crabs and things like that. So really, really cool play here. But basically, he's got Marauders, he's got a bunch of Chaos Warrior halberds, a couple of Chaos Marauder great weapons to deal with Depth Guard. A very well thought out build here from the great Aerocrastic. He does also have a Chaos Sorcerer Fire, Prince Sigvald, who is amazing in this matchup, incredibly tough to kill. And I do actually get the Vampire Fleet Admiral block or screened out here by the Prometheans to block that fireball, but. Now the main fighting is underway. Going to be using my deck dropper handguns to blast some of the halberds, and so far we're getting some good damage, and the Crabos are basically just going to be using their shotgun blasts and kiting a little bit, trying to pick off some models where I can, running some interference. Obviously, I have a pretty big skirmishing core via the deck droppers, 2 of which are standard deck droppers, and the other ones are the long rifle deck dropper handguns, which seem to have done pretty well so far. And honestly, you know, looking at this, I was like, oh, maybe I could have gone even harder up in there, get like some Velbats and... Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's kind of an old thing. Luther Harkin used to have builds like where he would have like a Leviathan and just like a tanky box. And then basically you would have Luther and a bunch of deck droppers kill the enemy horsemen and then just kind of sit up in the sky. But sometimes you even run out of ammo doing that, which is pretty funny. Probably not as effective as it once was, also considering that Luther Harkin has had some pretty huge nerfs to his ammunition pool, which I think is very warranted. It was pretty obnoxious before. Anyways, Rotting Promethean Gunnery Mob is going to be pushing in, going after the Chaos Marauders, and so far we've had some good interference. These Marauders got a little bit beat up, although the Crab's getting danger close there to those halberds. And now my deck dropper guns are just shooting into the Marauder Horsemen and getting a couple of kills in the process. But now the main fighting will be underway soon. The Box of Doom. We'll see how effective the Depth Guard Polearms are, because in theory they have good AP, right? With regeneration and hunger and relatively good combat stats here. I guess the whole school of thought is that they can pretty much grind out most Chaos Infantry, especially considering their armor mitigates most of the damage from Marauders and Forsaken type units, and then they also have healing on top of that. So really, really excited to kind of show you guys how this all goes down here. So in the distance, the deck droppers are shooting into the Marauder Horsemen, and you can see we're getting some good old healthy damage there, but we're also taking some in the process. But the scary part is we're being forced back into our defensive posture, which I suppose is the inevitable outcome of a build like this. The Crab Kite doing its best. These are all the crabs with the shotgun, so not the basic Prometheans. I figured the shotguns do decent AP damage, so might as well get those guys. And here you can see there's going to be a good old zombie pirate summon just to block up the halberds. A Burning Head coming down from Aerocrastic. We do pull back for the most part, but it looks like the Burning Head probably will just get that one unit, so probably gets about 250 gold worth of value off those zombies, which is inevitable. Can't dodge it too well. Vampire Coast not great at dodging Burning Heads, but no, even better, it actually gets to the second one, so very well played there. So now I see Sigvald and halberds and all these guys over here. So I pull my crabs, I rotate to the weaker side of the formation. Like, let's go after some Marauders, let's get some fresh fish here and see if we can fight here without Sigvald menacingly getting involved into the combat. And I think there's going to be a fireball coming down from something or other. On top of that, the deck droppers are going to be rotating about face, and we are getting some good damage. Granted, our chaff is rapidly kind of dissipating here as the fireball comes downtown and does hit the crabs once again. Not doing too much damage. We are getting great work in. Halberds are actually getting smashed pretty good, as are the Chaos Marauders. Granted, I think these were the halberds I was shooting earlier. So I need to get my Depth Guard Polearms in position, get them into some good engagement. So here they come to test the waters. Granted, it is against Chaos Marauder Great Weapons, which kind of sucks, considering that's a very cheap, good AP option. And I've already lost one Depth Guard just from that initial charge there. But they are massacring the cheap infantry, just the raw combat stats and the hunger. Okay, this actually isn't going terribly. And we do have the Overwatch fire coming in from the deck dropper handguns, trying to lend some aid to that engagement, and for the most part, this position does break, with the exception of the Chaos Warrior halberds. But unfortunately, the Dark Lord Sigvald has now made his way over here, and I am stuck amongst halberds, which really sucks. So my crabs are taking quite a bit of damage, and are my deck gunners going to be able to outtrade the horsemen? So far, one horseman unit is wavering on the brink of running, and we do also drop a pistol summon here. So the pistol summon coming down from the Vampire Fleet Admiral is going to be giving me some nice focus fire here into the Horsemen. So we're able to rip some shots there. And they'll charge in, but that's good. That's time that they're not focusing on the bats and basically doing their job here. Depth Guard Polearms do actually cut apart those Chaos Marauder Great Weapons with only taking 2 casualties in the process. Granted, my Krabos are really having a bad time versus Arrow's Halberd spam, which is a really, really cool innovation here on this matchup. I think he was one of the first ones to do that, or at least was sharing that build with people and they were doing it. And it seems pretty damn strong for sure. Granted, traditional gunline, deck droppers, or excuse me, deck gunners and things like that can tear apart Chaos Warrior Halberds pretty effectively, but still, it's pretty strong. So here we do have the deck droppers chasing off the horsemen. Those horsemen are broken. These ones are broken as well. So that's a pretty good feeling. We now have more or less the blob fight we've hoped and dreamed for. So I have to put all my lifelong goals and dreams here into the hands of the Depth Guard, which both are perfectly healthy. So this is going to be a really good opportunity to test their metal here and see how they do. I pull back the crabs as well. You know, one of the crabs is basically kiting into the Shadow Realm with those Marauders. The other 2 I pull back to get an invocation here in just a moment. Looks like some Marauder Horsemen perhaps thinking about charging in here, but the Krabos should be able to deal with them, especially with the shotgun blasts. Those Marauder Horsemen are going to be breaking pretty much instantly here. Now, Depth Guard Polearms are grinding the good grind, and you can see they do an efficient job of cutting through those guys. And yeah, honestly, not doing too bad, although a huge, fat, overcasted Burning Head there, getting through my Depth Guard Polearms, doing a ton of HP damage, not killing models outright, but at this point I was like, oh boy, let's get back. We're falling behind on the bounce of power. The Halberds are getting nuked by the magic damage and not trading terribly well with Mirror Guards. So let's pull them back with the crabs and get a big overcasted invo to heal up all 4 of my elite units. I think that will potentially pull the bounce power back towards middle. Now, in the process of all that happening, the deck droppers are trying to snipe the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, because obviously those Burning Heads, when you do overcast it, man oh man, they can do some work. And there's Invocation of Nehek. Hopefully it will be able to resurrect some models here. Depth Guard Polearms pulling back, dropping his summon to screen out the elite Mirror Guard, and then charging into the easier fight, which is just the Chaos Warrior Halberds. Granted, I guess they have better AP values, but Mirror Guard just have really good combat stats in general, and those bad boys can fight. Now, something that, it's not looking bad really, but the biggest issue is the fact that Sigvald is here, and I suppose I forgot to account for the Dark Lord Sigvald in my building, because I don't have too many tools that are going to be great at dealing with him, aside from maybe just surrounding him in the late game, but you got to win the fight pretty decisively for that to happen. The Chaos Sorcerer of Fire on the ground is going to be running as my Vampire Fleet Admiral does chase down that Chaos Sorcerer. And the Halberds and the Crabs are making a valiant stand here, but there's a lot of AP damage, and my Depth Guard are a little bit bunched up in a bit of a ugly formation, so that's some user error right there. I probably should have had them go around the side and flank and pressure, but I wanted to keep my forces together, just to have this kind of wall of really, really tough Vampire Coast units. Now, Deck Dropper is still doing great. They've sniped the Caster, they've sniped the Marauder Horsemen, and they're all more or less, you know, in okay shape, and I can use them to chase things off and cause some disruption. Now the Depth Guard are fighting the fight of their lives here. Although they are surrounded and outnumbered, hopefully they will be able to get some damage in these units. But Prince Sigvald, man, he's getting in there and doing some really consistent damage. Damage that I don't really have the means of dealing with. And seeing this army here, I see there's a ton of Halberds coming back here, a lot of pressure flanking. My Crabs were able to get back and do their thing, but for the most part, Chaos, they're inexorable. The pressure is coming. Can't remember where these guys were going. I think they were going to go shoot those Chaos Marauders there or something, or maybe I was chasing off the Horsemen. Just forgot to micro them back. But yeah, the Depth Guard are going to get surrounded here, so at this point I try and pull them back. A little bit of a desperate play, but I know I have a summon here. I'm like, let's pull back the Depth Guard, get them into open field, reunite them with the Krabos, and see if we can make one valiant last stand. But with the amount of Halberds plus Sigvald that Aerocrastic has, it's looking a little bit grim bones for these elite Vampire Coast units, so they're going to be kind of piling back in and fighting, as they can't fully escape that surround right there. My Pistol Captain is still here, or Admiral, and I believe I have a couple summons. The Pistol Admiral is quite good. You can definitely kite with it and get some really good sniping and whatnot, but in this case, the Depth Guard Polearms are able to get away for the most part, so 26 right here, and we do get 23 away, which definitely felt quite nice, because I do have more Invocations, or I think I have at least one in the back pocket, so we will be dropping that here, while the Deck Droppers do use the last of their ammunition. Opal Amulet going down as well. I'm going to give some ward save while we jump into combat here, but probably could have saved it, but it's all good. So Chaos Marauders getting cut up by the Depth Guard. It almost makes me think that going like standard Depth Guard might have been better, just because of their efficiency against mass infantry, whereas the Depth Guard Polearms do have a little bit slower attack animation, so they're probably not going to cut through mass as quickly. But Arrow's build is very unique as far as Chaos builds go. Most Chaos players, I wouldn't say bring Chaos Warrior Halberds in this matchup. It's mostly like cheap infantry and, you know, harass units to dive onto the gun line. But I think, you know, with people seeing this build, it could become relatively meta. So, you know, something you got to prepare for. Vampire Fleet Admiral fighting the good fight. Depth Guard Polearms fighting. But at this point, you can see we're pretty much at army losses. We're going to bump and grind here, and that's going to be it. Sigvald and his Legion are too much to break. So that was my first time trying out Depth Guard Polearms, and I'm not 100% disappointed, but I'm not impressed either. Yeah, only 474 value on that. And they were fighting, you know, relatively costly infantry with the Chaos Warrior Halberds. Yeah, I don't know. And also the gun crabs probably weren't a great idea either, but I wanted to try something new and just see if I could come up with an innovative build here, but it just wasn't the build. The Bat Air Force was great. As usual, they snipe the horsemen, they snipe characters, they more or less pay for themselves, they create a ton of disruption in the battlefield. Depth Guard, Polearms, and crabs, I don't know. You could probably honestly just go for regular crabs, but I still think the Vampire Coast gun line is a lot smoother. So Arrow and I actually played another game after this where I used a traditional Vampire Coast gun line against Chaos. So that game will be going up sometime in the next few days, maybe in the next week, and you guys will get to see like both sides of the coin. But yeah, it was a fun experiment for sure. The crabs, they were, yeah, against the halberd spam, not so good. But against the traditional Chaos Rush, like pre Arrow halberd build, I think they could have been pretty good. But against this, it was just not good at all. It was very rough. But yeah, it was fun. It was certainly a great game. Arrow played great. He pressured well. It was a fun old scrap, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. You got to see some Chaos Warrior Halberds in action. You know, part of me wants to try Aranessa in this matchup, but I feel like she'll get whooped on by Sigvald so bad, like so badly. Sigvald's just an unholy terror. Luther Harkin is probably the best way to kill it, and honestly, in this build, probably cutting like one of the crabs and getting like Luther Harkin plus a Vampire Caster would be way better. Just because you have something to really punch through your enemy's army and also kill their characters and stuff. Because Sigvald is pretty much unkillable with this character I brought. Noctilus loses also. You know, you can deal Sigvald with like Crossfire too, like in the late game, just shooting him with like Depth Gunners and things like that. But yeah, Arrow played great. It was a really fun game, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the Depth Guard Halberd test. And my friends, we will be back with more content soon. Take care, guys.